On Wednesday, the Michigan Supreme Court gave former President Donald Trump reason to celebrate after it rejected to hear a case that could have removed him from the state ballot. Now, after this, he took to
Truth Essential
and wrote, the Michigan Supreme Court has strongly and rightfully denied the desperate Democrat attempt to take the leading candidate in the 2024 presidential election, me, off the ballot in the great state of Michigan. This pathetic gambit to rig the election has failed all across the country, including in states that have historically leaned heavily towards Democrats. Colorado is the only state that have fallen prey to the scheme. Okay, so look, Trump's taking a victory lap here. It's a bit premature. Okay, let's be fair about that. And I'll tell you why. See, unlike in Colorado, where it actually went through the court system and it was adjudicated, the Michigan lawsuit actually never reached a trial. So the Michigan court rejected the case on strictly procedural grounds. So they didn't even hear the case at all. They never reached the question of whether or not January 6th was an insurrection and whether Trump had engaged in it. In Colorado, that's exactly what they did. They looked at those questions and they found that Trump had indeed engaged in insurrection, and that the 14th Amendment, Section 3, says, well, if you engage in insurrection, you shouldn't be on the ballot. Okay. Now, the Michigan Court of Claims judge who first got the case also said that it wasn't really interested in looking at this because it raised a political question that he said shouldn't be decided in the courts. So again, there's been a lot of disagreement on whether or not this is a political, a question or a constitutional question. I mean, again, you've got lots of different legal minds on either side of this. Again, you even have some, some on the more liberal side. They're saying, well, we shouldn't let the courts decide this. We should have an election. I'm of the mind, and I think you're already, familiar with my stances. It's literally in the Constitution. He did insurrection. Why are we allowing him to run in the first place? But again, not everybody agrees with that position. Now, the Michigan Court of Appeals did agree, saying that at the moment, the only event about to occur is the presidential primary election, but as explained, whether Trump is disqualified is irrelevant to his placement on that particular ballot. So that's why I'm saying that it's premature, okay? Because, again, we're in the middle of a Republican primary. He's not even the Republican nominee. So removing him from the presidential ballot, again, a little early, right? We're talking about presidential ballots before there's a primary. Now, look, is there a really good chance that Donald Trump's going to be the nominee for the Republican Party? Yeah, pretty sure, right? I'd give him like a 90% chance. Really high. Look, that said, the Court of Claims judge saying that this is a political question helps Trump's case, no doubt about it. Let's be real about it. Plus, if there's a stay on the Colorado decision, it's going to end up in the Supreme Court. And I've got very, very few hopes that the Supreme Court is actually going to see it the way that the Colorado court saw it. Okay? Even if, again, they agree that, yeah, it was part of an insurrection, whether or not he'll be removed as an officer of the United States, again, there's a lot of ambiguity in how certain people are going to, rule on that, especially when you've got a very stacked conservative Supreme Court. That said, Trump continued with his post saying that 4-3 Colorado Supreme Court decision, which they themselves stayed, thus keeping me on the ballot as we go up to the U.S. Supreme Court, is being ridiculed and mocked all over the world. No evidence of that. We have to prevent the 2024 election from being rigged and stolen, which they didn't. Like they stole 2020. Just look at the complete mess. We have a result with crooked Joe Biden violently destroying everything in his sight. Right? From our once great economy to our once fair justice system. None of that's true. The majority of that statement is complete and utter nonsense, but of course you expect it. That said, Trump got his way. I mean, in Minnesota, Michigan, probably will in California, probably will in the Supreme Court. I'd be very surprised to see this argument prevail. Look, again, there shouldn't be any disagreement here that Trump engaged in insurrection. He absolutely did. But I don't see a lot of judges in enough states, especially swing states, to, have the balls to actually do the right thing, the constitutional thing, and keep him off the ballot. I'm sorry, I'm a pessimist on this one, and I just don't see it happening.